All right, here we go. We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, all of you crypto nerds out there. My name is Monty Allen, and I am your crypto nerd. And today we've got an Algorand Talk with the CEO of Algodex. So, Alex, we've got you here. Let's watch the intro, and then let's have a conversation.
Sure.
All right, we got you. Alex Trafonis is here in the virtual interview room with us in Crypto Nerd Land. Alex, thank you very much for hopping on the line and making time for us today, huh?
Yeah, glad to be here.
Excellent. We got a few folks here who are going to chime in here in just a few minutes, and we had some questions that came up via the Twitter for you, so we're going to go through a couple of those,
Sure.
And we're just going to ask you some background questions, some history questions, where you're at now, where you're going in the very near future, and maybe even a little bit like longer term, like what you see in the crypto sphere, moving forward, kind of long term. But I think the viewers probably want to start with a little bit of background. So fill us in, like who you are, what's your background, and then maybe how did you get into, Algo in the first place?
Yeah, so I've been a lifelong software engineer. My dad actually taught me how to program when I was 7 years old. And I programmed in middle school, off and on in high school. I made my own websites in high school. People use them and such. And then I thought I knew everything about programming by the end of high school, so I went to college for electrical engineering. So even though I didn't know everything, there's like so much basic stuff that I didn't actually know. But anyways, I went to college for electrical engineering. I graduated, had software internships, had software jobs. So I've just been like a career software engineer. I got interested in Bitcoin in 2011. So I had a decent investment in that. Then because I was foolish, I sold it in like 2015 or so.
Oh, so man, like the pizza guy.
Not quite that bad, but I did like get quite a lot of profit. But I could have had some massive amount if I just held on to it. But I mean, the problem was like Bitcoin was, I think, already worth like $50 billion. And I'm like, it's worth $50 billion. How much higher could it go? It's gone nowhere in like 2 years. Like in one of the crypto bear markets, the subreddit was kind of dying for the past year. Like, this is going nowhere. So I sold my Bitcoins. And then right after I sold them, the price, 6 months later, the price just starts going up and up and up and up. I'm like, this is just unbelievable. So I was so bummed out by it. I didn't really pay attention to crypto for a good while. But then I started watching Twitch streams actually, and they were all doing all this crypto stuff, and I started like almost like accidentally just paying attention to like all these decentralized apps and all these tokenized things. Like, well, that's interesting. In the back of my mind, I'm just thinking like just all the possibilities of these things, which I'm sure other people thought of before me because I got back into the scene so late.
It's all about the execution though, and the timing. So you did it.
So and then I watched this guy, and he basically invested $3,000 into Cardano, and that $3,000 turned into like $60,000, sometime later during the big bull market. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, should I invest in Cardano? What should I invest in? So I started.
So are we talking like 2017, 2018?
No, I'm sorry. This is recently. This is just
okay.
Recently.
Okay, got it.
So jump to the future. So just recently, this was like last year.
Got it. And
I saw him make enormous gains in Cardano. So I put some money in Cardano, and I got some of the price going upwards. I'm like, oh, I wonder if it will just keep going up. So, but then I'm like, okay, what should I be investing in? So I started comparing and contrasting every single layer one crypto, and I noticed Algorand because it was on Coinbase giving rewards. So I'm like, oh, okay. I looked up Algorand, like, oh, that's interesting. This one looks pretty good. But then there were a bunch of them, so I was just comparing it, and I kept going back to Algorand. And then I started really looking into it, like reading the research, how it actually works, which I could understand. With the whole consensus protocol. I'm like, wow, this one's like probably really the best one.
Yeah.
So then at that point,
proof of stake is powerful. So when you say you're comparing and contrasting, like I imagine you like legitimately like with like an Excel spreadsheet, like side by side.
Not like an Excel spreadsheet, just reading, actually reading lots of Reddit comments
Okay.
And I also noticed that just the Algorand commenters tended to be like the most intelligent from my perspective. Like they just have like the most well-reasoned arguments of why it's better.
I will agree
and
with
so
you.
on. So I just love reading the Reddit of people just commenting why they like Algorand and so on. So I would just Google things like Algorand versus Cardano, Cardano versus Ethereum, Ethereum versus Algorand, just stuff like that. And I would read, then I'd actually read like the white papers and stuff and come to my own conclusions. And at that point, I started gaining a stronger and stronger opinion. So, I decided, I'm going to start investing in Algorand. And then meanwhile, I also went on Twitter and I just started like kind of trolling a bit. Like I said, this Algorand is better than Cardano with hashtags. And like almost to my surprise, I'd get like one like or something. It's like, that's interesting. I got one like. I wonder if there's some kind of like exponential element to people just liking my tweets. That's just one like. So like, I wonder if I just make my tweets a little bit better if more people like them. So I started doing that.
So you tweak the tweets, and next thing you know, you're all over.
So then I kind of intentionally just caused like this imaginary exponential of people liking my Twitter to actually happen. So I just like really focused on that. And before I knew it, I gained a large audience. And then in the meantime, in the back of my mind, I've been watching entrepreneurial stuff on the side for like a decade. I've also done side projects. In college, I actually made my own software stuff and sold it to people a little bit. But back then, I didn't have like the maturity to really like turn into a big thing. But anyway, so I was just thinking, this is like literally the perfect environment to do something entrepreneurial. And also, I was just really bummed out that like Algorand, it's like the best protocol, but it's missing some things. Like I would argue with people on Twitter, like Ethereum people, and I'd say, Algorand's better than Ethereum for these reasons. And they're like, well, Algorand has no DEX. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I wonder if I could be like the one person who makes the DEX because nobody else seems to be doing it fast enough. And then I think like, okay, if I make a DEX and other people, let's say 10 other people make DEXs faster, then my algos will go up fast anyways.
Yeah.
But if I make like one really good DEX, then not only will my algos go up, but I'll also own like, really nice DEX, which will probably be worth something. It won't be worth zero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like thinking, okay, if it's not going to be worth zero, I wonder if it'll be worth more than what I'm making at my job. Now, I was making really good money at my past job too. Like,
so this is probably before you decided I'm going to quit my job and do this.
Yeah. So I started looking. So I started researching how exactly I'm going to make it. So I started reading all about smart contracts. I started talking like Algorand support, which is phenomenal, by the way. If you have any question about anything smart contract related, just reach out to Algorand.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, so I was doing that, and then I started so I did lots of research first, just figuring out how I'm going to actually do it. Then I started to decide, okay, I'm just going to build a thing. I know I can do it by myself because I did my last side project by myself. It might not be perfect, but it's going to exist. And I'll just do it for like 4 hours every day. Wake up at 5, just do it, and do it at night. In addition to my full-time job. Like, I was actually making pretty good progress. And then meanwhile, just because I'm kind of a loudmouth on Twitter, I would just tweet about it all the time. Right. Not because I would think it would really achieve much. I just kind of like talking about what I'm doing just for the attention or something. So I would just tweet about my DEX.
It's good to get that positive feedback though, right? Like you send out like 10 tweets a day and you get, 100, positive encouragement, likes, like, okay, these are the folks who are going to be using the service. So you're providing a valuable, service for this audience. It's good to get that feedback, I think.
Right. So I kept doing that. I'm like, I don't think attention is going to be a bad thing. So I just kept tweeting about it. And, before I knew it, I gained kind of a following just paying attention to the DEX announcements. And, some people wanted to join me. There was one person who said he wanted to invest super early on, which really inspired me. Although he didn't invest that much, just a few $1,000s or something. But because I didn't want to like dilute it way too much, because I just started it. But anyways, I don't need to get into like the very beginning like partnership squabbles that happen a little bit. But anyways, now we got to the point now where we have like a team supporting it of these like super dedicated like part-time engineers.
How many folks do you have right now like behind the scenes? The fans are curious.
We have like, I think there's me full-time and there's John full-time. So John's also the head of he created the Algorand NFT marketplace. Okay. Which you might know about. It has a few thousand members. Yeah, so he created that. He coincidentally lives near me. And right before he asked to join, coincidentally, he also left his job for some reason. He's an accountant, and also being an accountant, he's like the perfect person to help me.
Oh, so, yeah. He can run the numbers right behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
he's doing all kinds of numbers. So I'm kind of nerdy. I also like making my own spreadsheets. But it's super helpful to have him do it because I'm super consumed with like the code and like all the CEO type stuff. Like I have to meet with people all the time and whatever.
Sure.
And publicize things and whatnot. So
yeah, you gotta go talk to guys like me. I get it.
Yeah, it's extremely fun though. Like the last like 2.5 months, I literally just wake up at like 5 o'clock because I get so excited. I just want to get out of bed. I just start working on it until like almost the time I sleep. And my wife's just like pulling me away to try to get me not to work too much. I'm like, come on, I'm gonna make like millions from this. Just let me work on it, you know. But
when you're that excited about it, it doesn't even feel like work, right?
No, it's just so much fun. Even if I didn't make a cent from it, just the fact that people are going to use it is pretty cool because like it's actually very challenging to make any software that gets users just in general. Like I don't know if anybody's ever tried to make any side project. It's very difficult to make any project that like anybody will ever use just in general. So it's just so much fun though. Like even if I literally never made a cent from it, I would still do it because also like I want Algorand to do well. Because Algorand's the best protocol. Like deserves to be, it deserves to rise up in the ranks against all
I believe it. Yeah, 100%.
It deserves to have a good ecosystem. So if nobody else is going to build these things quickly, I'm going to build it quickly. I'm sure other people would do it in 10 or 20 years or 5 years or who knows how long. But I'm going to do it as fast as I can. So I just literally work my entire waking day. And then I also plot ways to make it more efficient. Like, can I hire someone and, pay them a bunch of coins? Or like, should I raise funding and so on? So there's a lot of things also going on behind the scenes. I don't want to get into too much like confidential information, but we're trying to just we're trying to make a very high quality DEX and then also roll it out as fast as possible. So by high quality, I mean like a really good quality UI, really good quality smart contracts, really good design. It's also designed in a way in a very like nerdy way, I read all about the FinCEN regulations even before I decided to make a DEX. I don't know why. I think
you kind of knew you were going to do it. It seems like.
Well, I don't know. Well, you have to understand. In 2014, I wanted to make a Bitcoin exchange, and then the problem was I started looking at regulations. Like I don't know if this is legal. I don't think I should do this. I just kind of gave up. And then a year later, I sold my Bitcoins for whatever reason. Forgot about Bitcoin and cryptos, but I mean, so I've always had like this kind of thing on the back of my mind. But and then there's this other guy named Patrick who has Crypto Fluff. Okay. And which is already made, by the way. It's actually an exchange technically. It's you can trade. It's on Telegram, and you can trade Algorand assets with each other.
It's all contained within Telegram, right?
It's all contained within Telegram.
Yeah.
And he released it to production, and he said, "Okay, I'm going to allow algo trade." I'm like, "Wait a second." So I started DMing. I'm like, you know the regulations, right? Like, if you do this, because you're in control of the keys, you're technically a money transmitter.
Yeah, but you're going to be decentralized. So you don't have that same.
I actually have a legal opinion backing the fact that I don't have to require KYC from anybody. Because as the operators, so I'm not going to be the one operating it too. We're making a foreign entity. We're paying lawyers like a ton of money basically. They're going to make a foreign entity, and that's going to be the Algodex Foundation, and they're going to do all that stuff. So it's not going to be me. But anyways, even if it was me, even if it was me though, I still wouldn't require KYC because the operators of the exchange, they don't have technical access to anybody's money. Like all we're doing is delivering the software, and all the FinCEN regulations very clearly state that if all you're doing is making the software and providing the software to people, then like it's on them. They're the transmitters. Yeah. Like the software creators aren't touching the money; they're just making the software. So we're just delivering the software through the web browser. It is a fine line, but FinCEN, for whatever reason, almost because they want people to know about the loopholes, they very clearly define it. It's like super, super clear if you actually read through the 2019 guidance. So you can do this, and basically you can design financial software, at least with smart contracts, in a way so that the users are the transmitters and the operators are just making the software. I mean, that's the goal. Now with the SEC, that's a whole different story. It's a super large gray area, like which tokens you can list, which ones you can't list. And I honestly, I don't know what we're going to do.
Hence the foreign entity, which probably provides a little bit of protection there.
Yeah. So what we're going to do eventually, so basically, while I'm working on it, okay, so basically, it's like, think of it, I don't know if this is a good analogy, but I always use it because it's kind of funny. So
all right,
like,
lay it on us.
So like when the military takes over Egypt, right? And before they set up their so-called democratic government, okay. They call it like a transitional government, right? Like really dictatorship, but they call it a transitional government. So that's what I have now. It's like my transitional government over the DEX. Okay. But we're going to transfer it to a DAO. You know.
And this is what I saw your request for people to research the DAOs.
The DAO's going to operate the entire exchange, and basically the way it'll work is that smart contracts will change the source code of the exchange.
Okay.
Or something similar to that. So basically, everybody who owns our tokens in the future can vote on proposals, and we'll have governance proposals, and everyone can vote on them and decide how exactly the exchange is going to run. Like maybe the exchange will decide to blacklist some tokens. Maybe there's some scam coin, they decide to blacklist it. Maybe they whitelist something else, or maybe they say, okay, we're gonna follow the regulations of France, but we're not gonna follow the regulations of like North Korea or something, or who knows what, you know what I mean?
Who knows what will happen?
But because our exchange is ultra decentralized, like to the level of like Uniswap or Bitcoin or something, it's actually not possible to shut it down, because it's, you know, our backend servers are basically just blockchain indexers, so they can be replicated 1,000 times. We don't store anything on the backend, except like basically the way it works is we have some servers that just kind of pull the blockchain and get the latest from the blockchain, and then the clients just connect to that and then download the data from that.
But essentially, it's the blockchain, and that server can be cloned anywhere.
Or not only that, but we're putting in Docker. So it's theoretically possible we can let all the users download Docker instances and run the exchange on their computer. It's basically impossible to stop, because we just put the whole exchange on GitHub and people can download it.
Yeah, it would be.
And it's not possible. So it's
the most decentralized. So it would be DeFi.
So I mean, I think Uniswap's probably at this level too, or some of the others, but
definitely Uniswap.
Yeah. So that's kind of the goal.
Are you thinking you're going to have a board, or like how's the governance? What are you thinking there? Like, is there going to be any kind of a core direction, or is that why you want people to research?
No, it's going to be, well, we want to do research and see how other DAOs are run, but I'm thinking it's going to be some kind of a democratic voting system based on how many of our tokens you hold.
Your ASA, right?
Yeah. So we're going to make ASAs, and then everyone with the ASAs. So the way it'll work, so the way I'm thinking it'll work is that someone with a lot of the ASAs, like you need a lot to actually make a proposal, I think, or something. Who knows? But somebody will make a proposal, and that proposal will go on the blockchain. It's like a link to IPFS, which is, you know what that is? It's a file storage, decentralized file storage system.
And then people get to vote, essentially, right?
In that file storage system, we'll store all the metadata of the proposal, like all the details of it and so on. And then that'll be linked to in a smart contract, and the creation of the proposal will generate a whole bunch of tokens, and these are voting tokens. And then these voting tokens will be sent out to every single person that holds the coins, or they have a right to get the tokens, I mean. So they'll have a right to get these voting tokens. So everybody who wants the voting tokens can get them based on proportional how many of the Algodex tokens they have. And then they can basically submit their tokens as votes to vote on which proposal, like, decision they want. And by doing this, it would create a decentralized voting system, and then that will govern the direction of the exchange.
Let me ask you, these voting tokens, would that be a co-chain, or would that be like
they're ASAs?
They're just straight up ASAs.
Yeah, they're just generate ASAs. It takes like, you know, 1,000th of an algo to make them. So
yeah, it's really easy, really quick. I saw some tutorials on it. I haven't done it myself yet, but we get a lot of questions about ASAs. And obviously, you know, ASAs are your, you know, meat and potatoes, bread and butter, so to speak, of the Algodex, right? So somebody asked a question on here actually about Algo Mint. Have you had any communication with the Algo Mint?
I talk to the founder, you know, quite often. Michael, he's like the nicest guy. He gave us great ideas too of things like how to set up the legal entities and like tokenization plans and whatnot. Yeah, we're definitely collaborating. We're gonna put their tokens on our exchange.
Awesome. Now they're based out of Canada? Are they in Canada?
No, they're based out of Australia.
Australia.
They're in Brisbane, Australia.
Got it. All right.
Actually, so this is funny. So one of our engineers, one of our front end engineers, just by pure coincidence, also lives in Brisbane, and they've gotten coffee like 2 or 3 times.
It's a small world sometimes,
I
right?
know.
So there's people right next to you in your proximity and in
Oh,
Brisbane,
yeah.
Australia. Go figure.
And guess what? For example, there's quite a lot of people who work at Algorand. They're just like a few towns away.
Yeah.
I don't want to name names for their privacy, but yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of Algorand people near me.
That's awesome. So, will you be able to like? How easy is it to listen ASA? You know, let's say somebody goes in, creates one. What's that process like in the future?
Yeah. So basically, the way it technically works right now is every ASA is listed by default.
Mm-hmm.
What might have to happen due to legal complications in the U.S., we're not sure yet. I have to figure out with lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
But either every ASA is going to be whitelisted by default, and then we'll blacklist certain ASAs that we don't want to be traded for whatever reason. You know,
Got it.
let's say it's a scam coin or some SEC reason or who knows what.
Yeah.
Okay. That's one possibility. Or we'll blacklist everything. If we want to be ultra safe or if the lawyers recommend it for now, we'll blacklist everything by default, and then we'll whitelist things that we know aren't securities, aren't SEC securities. And then, but people can also apply to get something listed, and they can explain why this is not a security. They might or might not have to give a legal opinion. We're not sure yet. Or but maybe just allow anything to be, anything that's like anything that's an NFT, for example, can just definitely be listed. Like
that would have been my next question about NFTs. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe if it's very clear, it'll just be like, I don't know if we're even doing this, but if we did this approach, anything that's clearly not a security, we would just list in the U.S. And then things that are more of a gray area would say, please just, you know, get a legal opinion from a lawyer or something. But I don't know. I don't know if we're even going to do this whole thing. Like what I explained, it's all kind of up in the air about what's going to be listed, what's not.
Things are moving fast for you, huh?
Yeah. I mean, we just want to get it done from like a technical picture, and then this is just all legal stuff we have to figure out.
Okay.
So we're also in parallel, we're making a decentralized NFT marketplace too.
Okay.
And yeah.
So everybody wants to know. Okay, so when is Algodex? You know, so I just saw a question about the test net. So test net would be your next phase, I guess. And then are we still going to see something live Q3? And then I know NFTs are further down the line. Like what?
So funding has been a little bit slow. Although I mean, to be honest, the project's only 2.5 months old when it was still an idea. But
yeah, I think you've been moving lightning fast.
Yeah, we've just been moving so fast. It takes a lot of time for the funding to catch up, basically. There are also some complications. Like first I created Algodex Inc. And then my lawyer said, no, don't create that. Recreate it as Algodev Inc. Because we're basically now we're working for a development company where all we're doing is making the software. We're not going to host it in the US.
Right.
So we're basically going to sell it to this legal entity that we set up, and then that's going to host the exchange.
Okay.
So anyways, sorry, what was the last question?
NFT
the
timeline.
NFT marketplace. Yeah. So okay, and the timeline. So we're still hoping to. I mean, it depends whenever the security audit gets done. Really, that's what it comes. The security audit, and then some legal stuff to set up the foreign entities. So this stuff all takes a lot of funding. So it's whenever the funding goes through, then we have to pay these, pay all these teams or lawyers and security audit people to do it, which is all very expensive.
Right.
So I don't want to pay that out of pocket. So we're just waiting for funding. But the thing is, the more complete the software gets, the easier it is to get funding, because it's a more obvious decision. Like if I try to get funding at the very beginning, like day one,
that would have just been an idea.
Okay, first of all, who are you? What's your experience? What's your credibility? But as we get more and more towards completion, it just gives us like naturally more credibility, and that credibility helps you get funding.
Right.
Without having to beg for money from investors. Like there's some people who they decide to make a startup they don't do any work first, and they just present in front of 100 investors and just hope one of them gives them money or something.
Yeah, they got some mock-up or something, and they've got an idea.
No, because I know people want to use this for sure. So I'm going to make the software. I'm going to gain enough attention on social media, which I've been doing, and then investors will come in or grants or whatever.
Yeah.
So do you want me to answer questions, by the way?
If you see some of these questions over here on the chat, feel free, fire away.
Is there a way to scroll through them?
You should be able to scroll. I can read them off to you if you want.
Let me see.
Are you guys working with Algomint? We talked about that one. Can you incorporate KYC at some point in the future?
So are we working with Algomint? Can we answer that? can we incorporate KYC? Yeah, so we have a definite plan. We're going to incorporate KYC as an option so that people that want to do everything by the book, fully regulated, can trade using KYC and also trade with other people who use KYC.
Okay,
so it'll be on an opt-in basis. Let's see, when can we expect to see Algodex launch? Like I said, it's all up in the air, honestly, whenever the funding comes through, and then we just pay people to.
I just saw something today, like you're trying to put some tests together today, actually. But
right. So the testnet will be launched probably just in a few weeks.
Yeah.
We just have to make it so that, like, I think right now the current issue is that it's extremely buggy. So we're a bit worried if we release it now, everyone's going to say, oh, this is terrible, it's too many bugs. Because we're just racing to get it done as fast as possible. Like, most projects don't go this fast. You know, we just started it. Like, there's no code written like 2.5 months ago. So
yeah, it's breakneck speed. I'm amazed.
So, but we're worried if, even despite that, if we release it, people won't understand that, and they'll just kind of complain like, oh, this deck sucks. You know, too many bugs. If we let people test it too early. So we're trying to figure that out. And then plus there's the thing where we have to be able to track people's bugs very easily and put them on a bug tracker kind of thing, so we can see like what are the problems most people are having and so on. Let's see. Okay, so someone's asking where to fund. We can't collect funds from the public because it's too legally complicated and even more expensive from lawyers. So we're going to raise funds from venture capital, basically, which is it's the simplest approach to just get everything done for the community. Let's see. If there weren't regulations, I would be selling it to the public right now for people to buy. There's just it's extremely complicated because, like, for example, I can't even sell tokens right now because I don't own the tokens. Tokens are going to be, these are like imaginary tokens right now that are going to be owned by the future Algodex Foundation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Okay, so someone said parallel NFT exchange. Explain, please. So we're making a decentralized NFT platform that's going to use auctions, and we have one person working on this. So our main focus by far is Algodex, but we have started a little bit doing some other things in parallel, at least to get the ball rolling. So, but the NFT exchange is actually coming out kind of quick too, because we have a front end engineer, a full stack engineer actually, is working on it. And basically it'll let people list NFTs, trade them, and we also are coming up with a really interesting tokenization model where basically people can pledge like tokens, Algodex tokens, on their favorite sellers, and then whenever their seller sells something, a commission gets sent to the people that stake their tokens on them, and then that also boosts the credibility of the sellers. So it'll be super, super interesting.
So almost like you bet on your artist, or your, like,
exactly.
Let me put my algo where my mouth is, so to speak, or whatever AS coin that we're working with there. That's interesting.
And then also in the far future, so my team hates it whenever I talk about this, but I want to have a decentralized physical NFT marketplace. So anybody can make physical NFTs and then sell fractions of them. And then anybody's like house or place of business can be like a warehouse. And then all the warehouses have different amounts of credibility, because you only want to buy NFTs when someone has credibility. Then you can fractionalize like a piece of physical art. And then basically people can buy fractions of it as tokens. And if someone wants to, they can actually buy the entire piece of art, in which case everyone who had fractions of the tokens gets their tokens clawed back, and they'll get a premium at like a 20% premium to the market price, basically, and they'll make a lot of profit. So everybody who invested fractionally in the physical NFT makes a huge amount of profit when someone actually buys the full NFT, and then that NFT will then get shipped to them, assuming that the warehouse or whatever you call it is credible. You know,
that warehouse becomes a museum.
If you invest in a scam NFT, you know, it's never going to get shipped to you. You're just going to waste your money. So you're going to have to do your own research on like credibility and different things and so on.
That fractionalized ownership idea is really interesting. I wonder if, like, if you could put in a voting mechanism, if people own, if there's 1,000 partial owners of this XYZ painting or statue or whatever. But Naruto says, hey, we should make that place a museum. That's not a bad idea. So then the investors in the NFTs could also have like some kind of profit sharing or something, or something open to the public where they can have additional stream of income that way too.
Yeah.
That describes stocks too. Yeah.
So it's an interesting idea, but my team thinks that this is like, it's so far
That's way
out
down
there.
the
Like,
road,
who's going to want to do this? What if someone breaks in your warehouse, like breaks in your house? Like, let's say you list a coffee cup in your house, and like, the value goes to like $10,000, and someone breaks in your house to steal your overpriced coffee cup or something. Like, who knows?
Yeah, I suppose
I don't know.
It's still interesting though. In theory, you could buy all those tokens up and then exchange them for the physical product at some point in time. What about any other projects that you watch or are familiar? Like, what do you watch besides your own project? Is there anything else that's intriguing to you?
So I just go on Twitter and I read what other people say, but because I'm so hyper focused on Algodex, I don't really look at other people's stuff that much.
Yeah.
So I just my team does it and they just kind of tell me things, or I see on Twitter.
Right.
But I don't have the bandwidth to both be like a crypto analyst and also make things like full time. You know what I mean? It's just too much work. And there's no profit in it. Like, if I learn, I can learn as much as I want about every other project, but I'm not gonna make any money from it. Mm-hmm. So, and I already feel like I know enough knowledge in general to just build things. So I know there's no like big advantage for me to just pay super close attention to everything.
Got it.
That's just how I see it. But so I don't pay that close attention to the project. I just pay very like loose attention.
Right. So you're paying attention, like this is your race. It's a game of one. Like you're playing against yourself every day. Like, can I get this much done? What's my next target? How do I deliver those types of things?
Well, I'm also racing against the other people building on Algorand, honestly, who just don't work on weekends. They don't work the entire day, because I think it's kind of funny to get things done faster than them. Mm-hmm. It's just in my weird sense of humor, but But it's really like win-win though, because if they build, I've played a lot of algos, so if other people do build things fast in Algorand, it'll make my algos go faster. So I really don't mind. I also like working with we're actually going to do a lot of collaboration, like we're going to do bridges and stuff. And actually the existence.
Somebody asked about a bridge I didn't scroll through too fast, but somebody asked about a bridge a little while ago.
Yeah, so we're exploring the best way to make bridges. Bridges are kind of complicated because someone has to, typically, like if you wrap something, someone has to have custody of whatever you're wrapping, or something has to have custody over. So it's kind of complicated. So we have to figure out. But the ideal is we want to wrap every single like ERC20 token in Algorand
and make it easy to transfer over.
Yeah. So instead of people transferring around ERC20 tokens on Ethereum, paying $20,
which is expensive. Those gas fees are ridiculous.
Around Algorand, pay 10,000 times less fees. And have 4-second transfer times instead of like dozens of minutes or whatever it is on Ethereum.
Yeah,
it'll be really funny once that's enabled, and then people can trade them on Algodex instead of having to trade them on Uniswap, which is 10,000 times more expensive or something.
Yeah, I agree. There's some coins like Opul you released basically on Algorand and ERC, but it's difficult to transfer any like Ethereum type stuff over. Even the Yieldly does that, and Rio just did that, where you gotta do this complicated thing over the bridge, and there's no easy way to do that. If you come up with some way that's easy to handle that wrapping and flip it over to Algo,
we're going to talk to I think Axelar. So Axelar is making a standardized interface for this kind of thing. They're also located in Boston, and someone said
that's their thing, right? Okay. Yeah, I've seen their stuff, and I hope they take off. I mean, it's a great idea. Wrapping everything in Algo, just makes a ton of sense.
Right.
All right. We are running a little bit long, but it was a great conversation. So I'm glad we ran a couple of minutes long. Is there anything else that you want to get out to the public that we didn't ask about yet already? Anything else that's you're like just information that's on your chest you just feel like sharing with the public?
Nothing particularly. Just I post anything interesting on my Twitter. So
you got to keep all the other stuff private. All right.
Yeah, there's private stuff too. I mean, I can't talk about everything because I don't want to bother people.
I know there's some other stuff.
I have a tendency to kind of like talk too much in general, so I have to like try to limit myself more.
Okay, all right.
The same problem. So.
Well, I got to tell you, like the Algodex, like it's a community project. It feels like at this point. I mean, I know it's your baby, but you have so much community support,
that's
goodwill.
We want to make it a DAO where everyone in the community can participate. basically. So I was thinking of having like some kind of DAO committee, even before the DAO's made, like some kind of big chat room or forum where like everybody can come in and just talk about discussions of like what they want to happen to Algodex. But we can't formally do it until the tokens are created, which we need all the legal costs to do first. But that could be interesting.
All right.
Well, the community is up for it.
I'll post the link to the website. I'll post the link to the Telegram room. I will get your information out there. I think I have the tip address as well. I'll post in this on the replay, so it'll be there shortly. I appreciate everything that you're doing. It's been great to watch your work. That's all the time we got for today. So say goodbye to everybody, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everyone.
All right.